take Gonzaga, or would you take the field for the NCAA tournament?
Gonzaga.
They are our college basketball super team.
Great pass to Timmy.
They're fearless. They're unpredictable.
Kispert counted and one. Jalen Suggs throws it down.
Gonzaga's been taking over college basketball this season. We're going to take over Saturday mornings. Welcome to Countdown to Game Day, covered by State Farm. She's Christine Williamson. I'm Jason Fitz. Every Saturday, we're going to be here with you, getting you ready for Game Day. If you're new, you can just authenticate here in the app and hang out. You can watch Game Day right directly from here, and we're going to get the table set for all the college basketball action. But Christine Williamson, everybody's used to watching us Countdown to Game Day around college football. This is a little bit of a change for people, but for you particularly, a return to your roots. You have a lot of Big 12 college basketball in your background.
So I love hoops. I love college hoops. I played volleyball in college, but my dad said I would be a better I would have been a better basketball player. So that's a fun fact. I love the Big 12. Love Big 12 basketball. However, I grew up
a Duke fan. You grew up a Duke fan?
So, okay, I went to University of Miami, and I just freaking loved Duke basketball because Miami wasn't good at basketball, so I loved Duke. I used to go to Cameron Indoor all the time. Also, always watch March Madness on my birthday because my birthday's in March.
Okay, so admittedly, I'm sneaky old. I'll be the first to admit that. When I was a little kid, I grew up in Vegas, and I used to go to those UNLV games, the Running Rebels, like Stacey Augmon, Larry Johnson. Like, that was my introduction to college basketball. Vegas was a college basketball town. I grew up that way. You mentioned Duke. If there's any school that Duke made me cry, all right, as a kid, UNLV undefeated. They go into the Final Four. They get upset by Duke. I literally cried through that game. For my entire childhood, I have one VHS tape in my life, and it says on it, UNLV 103, Duke 73. Not that I remember the score, and I still watch that VCR tape all the time. By the way, went to high school in Maryland, and we were still anti-Duke there. So you and I are going to battle throughout the course of the season.
We have like a little bit of, this is like the first time that we've ever had like opposing fandoms.
Yeah, well, as long as you don't wear any Duke gear, we'll be just fine.
I mean, I don't have any Duke gear, but if anybody wants to send me some, I don't mind wearing it.
No, UNLV should send me some gear, though. I love my swag. All right, so for everybody that's getting caught up with us, Christine, they need to get caught up on the college basketball season. There's been a lot of action that's been going on this year.
Yeah, it's been a crazy season. It's been 52 days since the college basketball season started, and we've already seen 124 either cancellations or postponements because guess what, guys? We're still in the middle of a pandemic. But that's not the only reason that this basketball season has been very odd. Duke basketball did not begin the season like the team we know them to be. And after the Blue Devils' 2-2 start, head coach Mike Krzyzewski said that he thought the entire basketball season should be postponed. Of course, that did not happen, and since then, the team has gone 3-1. But let's talk about Kentucky basketball. After the Wildcats opened their season with a win over Morehead State, they went on an 0-6 losing skid. The team is now 4-7. Oh, and guess what, guys? Kentucky is not ranked. Very odd. Very, very odd. 7 D1 teams remain undefeated, including the number 1 and 2 teams in the nation, Gonzaga and Baylor. The Zags are 13-0, and according to Ken Pom, they have a 51.8% chance of going unbeaten in the regular season because they're ballers. The undefeated Baylor Bears lead 5 Big 12 teams that are ranked in the top 25. 3 of those teams, Baylor, Texas, and Kansas, are in the top 10. That's why I say Big 12 basketball is so good. But the conference to truly look out for is the Big 10. They currently have 6 teams in the top 25: Iowa, Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois, Ohio State, and Minnesota. However, at one point, 9 out of the 14 teams were ranked in the top 25.
One of the things we're going to have on this show is a little star power coming from the show we're leading up to. That's right. Obviously, we lead you to Game Day, so it feels appropriate to bring in College Game Day analyst to help us out. We got one of the best out of the gate, LaPhonso Ellis, joining us now. We got a lot to get into, and I'll ask you a college basketball question, but let's at least acknowledge out of the gate, You went to Notre Dame. Now, we're both friends with Jordan Cornette. I feel like I've spent most of my life at this point working with Mike Golick Jr.
Nice.
There's a lot of Notre Dame in my life. Is there like a support group for y'all on this campus to help you get through the tough times that comes with being a Notre Dame fan?
No.
Well, yes, especially right now during the college basketball season, man, we just cannot get a win. We can score with anyone in the country, but we just can't defend. So I got to find me a nice comfy couch here, get some nice ESPN therapy sessions going each and every day to deal with the heartache that's involved with Notre Dame basketball. But at the same time, so proud of our football team. Every single year, it seems like Coach Kelly has us in the hunt for a national championship. So even though we lost and lost big, still proud of my guys.
It's amazing because Junior gives me the opposite answer. He's like, the football team, disappointment, but always proud of basketball. Okay, so let's get everybody caught up on this season so far and what you've seen. So who in your mind is the biggest surprise so far early on in this college basketball season?
It's clearly been Michigan. I mean, they lose Isaiah Livers, one of the terrific point guards of all time in the Big Ten. They lose their 7-footer, John Teskey, and they don't really miss a beat. I mean, they've done a terrific job of establishing Hunter Dickinson, the 7'1" center, inside, unstoppable, averaging about 18 points a game. He's 7th in the Big Ten in scoring, 7th in the Big Ten in rebounding, and this is a high-octane offense. They've done a really nice job of getting Mike Smith, the Columbia grad transfer, incorporated into the offense, and they just haven't missed a beat. He's been terrific, knocking it down from the three-point line, about 46% from three, and then Franz Wagner has been terrific. This is a long, athletic, defensive-minded, high-octane offense that Michigan has. I've been really impressed with the way they've played so far.
Well, on the flip side of that, we have a lot of teams that are not playing that well this season. Kentucky, obviously, not doing what they usually do. Duke basketball started off really odd. Who do you think has been the biggest disappointment this season?
Well, being a Notre Dame guy and in the ACC, I have to go to North Carolina. We knew coming into the season that North Carolina would have one of the more dominant front lines in the country, but we were concerned about could they shoot it well from the perimeter, and they have just not been able to shoot the basketball well. And what that does, it doesn't give your interior guys like a Garrison Brooks room to be able to operate on the interior, and their lack of speedy point guard play. Caleb Love's the freshman, is going to be a really good player in time. He's just not that guy right now, and as a result of that, they've been turning the basketball over as well. In their last 3 losses, they've turned the basketball over 18 times a game and have given a lot up in transition. And so for a North Carolina team offensively to be good, they have to have a really good point guard that can really push it in transition, get his own shot, and create offense for others. They've not been able to do that. Now, they're on a 3-game winning streak right now, so let's see if that can continue. But so far, they've been the most disappointing team for me.
All right, let's take it back to some of the positive we've seen. We've talked about teams, but let's drill down to players. In your mind so far this year, who's the best player in college basketball?
It's Iowa's Luka Garza. Oh, my gosh, 6'11", the relentless, the hardest working guy in all of college basketball. He's a terrific offensive rebounder. You can get it to him. He plays with his back to the basket, can score over either shoulder with either hand, and he gets out, and they like to play him out on the floor as well because he's a terrific three-point shooter, shooting 48% from three. What's up with all these big guys shooting 40-plus from three these days, right? And Luka Garza was second in the running for National Player of the Year last year. I think he's beyond the shadow of a doubt the player of the year so far in this early campaign.
Let me ask you a quick follow-up there. What do you think? How do you think his game translates to the NBA?
In terms of his shooting and his relentlessness on the glass, very, very well. The issue with Luka is, does he have the foot speed? Because remember, the game has changed now for both 4s and 5s in the NBA. The more valuable ones are the ones who you can get in short clock situations with and switch, and they can keep a perimeter guy in front. Luka doesn't have that, but his heart, his skill level, his determination, undeniable.
Let's talk about the Zags, right? Number 1 in the nation. They are balling. They have wins over 4 top 20 teams in their first 7 games of the season. They're absolutely ridiculous. Number 2 is Baylor.
Yes.
Who do you think can actually challenge the Zags? Is it Baylor? Is there another team that can actually give them a run for their money?
Well, there's 2 of them. There's really Baylor and Michigan, but since we've already talked about Michigan, let's talk about Baylor. Baylor has the best defensive backcourt in the country, and you're talking about a Gonzaga team with Jalen Suggs, Joel Ayayi, Corey Kispert, high-octane offensive productive scorers. You have to have guys on the other end that can shut those guys down. Baylor can do that. And by the way, Baylor's blowing teams out, almost 27 points per game on average on the season, and they're top 5 in both offensive, defensive efficiency. And you're looking for another guy that's an All-American candidate, potential Player of the Year candidate, look no further than Baylor's Jared Butler. He's absolutely terrific. 4th in the Big 12 in scoring and can get it in a variety of ways. So if there's a team that can slow down and beat Gonzaga, it would be Baylor because of their offensive and defensive efficiencies on both sides of the floor.
A quick question, because we talked at the top of the show about the fact that I am a former Big 12er. I used to cover the Big 12. And one thing that they drilled into my head is that Big 12 basketball is better than any other conference in the nation. And of course, that has to be our messaging. But what are you looking at this season? Do you feel like the Big 12 is the best? Is the Big 10 kind of running the table right now? What conference is kind of running the table in basketball right now?
Well, coming into the season, I thought the Big 10 would be the best and deepest, and they've surely proven that to be so. You're talking about there are 4 teams that could really have a legitimate chance to hang a national championship banner. You look at Iowa, you look at Illinois, you look at Michigan, and I know I'm forgetting someone along the line, but those 3 teams can and Illinois. Those three to 4 teams can legitimately hang a national championship banner. No other conference can say that, but I would say the Big 12 is second.
Well, his day's just getting started. You should stick around here. You can obviously watch him all morning on GameDay. LaPhonso, we appreciate you hanging out. Welcome to the club. We'll work on the therapy couch depending on how the season goes, my friend.
I feel so honored to be here. Thank you, guys.
Going to hold for the last shot.
I think he's going to take a timeout. Nope. He's going to play it out. I like it.
McClung for the win.
Oh, my goodness.
Mac McClung with 2.2 left.
Look at that snarl.
My teammates are telling me I got to go. I respect you a lot, Fran. You're the man. Okay. But I got to go celebrate my teammates.
Good job, man. You go celebrate.
Yes,
we
sir.
got you.
Yes, sir.
So that guy obviously gets buckets. We're lucky enough to have him on the show with us today. We now welcome in Texas Tech bucket getter Mac McClung. And Mac, you get plenty of buckets. That bucket was super clutch against Texas, number 4 Texas. And it was your first road win, Texas Tech's first road win over a top 5 team. So, I mean, you were missing 5 out of 6 of your last shots. What gave you the confidence to pull up and get that one?
Mostly my teammates. We knew we had to get one stop, and then my teammates told me, to do my thing when I got the ball. And coach already had a play drew up, so I knew where I was going to be on the floor. So, my teammates having confidence in me was the biggest thing.
All right, Mac, we're going to go 2-parter here. First, you handled the whole interview afterwards brilliantly. It was very well done by you. But in that moment, you're celebrating, you're getting ready, you're getting hyped. You find out you have to go interview. Are you happy that you got called to do the interview afterwards, or do you just want to celebrate right then?
I was definitely honored for sure. My teammates, TJ Shannon and Coach Beard, was looking at me like, come on, let's go. So I was like, I got to go. But no, it was, I didn't mean any disrespect by that to Fran. He's the man. So. Oh,
and you handled it perfectly with him. I felt bad for you because you want to celebrate. So what was the celly like? Like, you go join up with everybody. What'd y'all do?
Yeah, there was just a bunch of dancing, a bunch of music, and water flying everywhere. So it was just a good time with the boys.
Bunch of music. What's the go-to Texas Tech, like, DJ spin feel like?
It's a mixture. Shout out to Ty, the manager. He has a whole mixtape for us that we listen to, and it's just a variety of country, rap, a little bit of everything.
I was going to say, it has to be a little country in there. It's Texas, right? Okay, you just transferred from Georgetown. Now you're in Lubbock, Texas. How much different is the vibe, the culture from Georgetown to Texas Tech?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's a lot different. But, I'm from a small town, so I'm kind of going back to my, how I was originally, and I'm really comfortable. And, D.C. is a great place as well.
All right, so you guys have a massive game coming up against number 2 Baylor at home this afternoon. You've had some close losses this year. It's also such a strange year trying to get to know your teammates and really get into this vibe with all the restrictions everybody's going through. So what can you learn from the losses you've had that you think really applies to this afternoon?
Yeah, I think, sometimes you have to learn through losing, and that's never fun. But Coach always talks about how we have a new team and how bonding is so important. So we just try to take advantage of that and get to know each other more and have that poise down the stretch where we can close out those games.
All right, Mac, so all the highlights that we've seen so far is you pulling up, getting 3-pointers, getting J's, but I heard You also are a pretty solid dunker. I saw some highlights on YouTube. So, favorite dunk? Do you have one?
I would probably say a windmill is my favorite dunk. But yeah, haven't dunked in a while. Hopefully I can bring something back soon.
I mean, good Lord. Great googly moogly, dude. Like,
just a
look at this.
Windmill.
The moment you dunk, like, I'll never know this as an unathletic 5'9" guy. The first time that you dunk, like, do you then the next month just try and dunk every single day?
Yeah, I try to rest a little bit, but no. Yeah, I love dunking. It's something I've always had a passion for. But it's one of I think everybody's favorite parts of the game, so I really enjoy it.
I mean, it's the most entertaining for sure. So you have to get Chris Beard. Just be like, yo, coach, gotta throw some up to me or something.
Right, I'm trying to tell him. I'm trying to.
So what do you think? Obviously, you guys have Baylor coming up, right? But you've played plenty of big games at Georgetown, I would imagine. So what do you think the biggest game, the biggest opponent has been in your career so far?
Yeah, that's something, I talked about with Coach, and the biggest thing is my biggest game is always the next game on the schedule. Obviously, I have a lot of respect for Baylor. They're a great team with a lot of chemistry and a lot of weapons. But the biggest game is always the next game on the schedule to me, and that's how I try to prepare for each game.
Hey, look, Mac, all we ask next time is that you bring the dance celebration out onto the floor. I still want to see what it looks like. Like, that's my favorite part of all of this is just watching y'all celebrate. Congratulations on the game winner. Congratulations on all you're doing this season, man. Thanks for the time. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Mac.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
The star power keeps coming again. It's countdown to game day. Christine Williamson, Jason Fitz will be here every Saturday getting you ready for game day starting at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. But we like to bring in some expertise along the way. So we're going to do that now with our buddy Dalen Cuff joining us. Dalen, first and foremost, you got a long day coming. You're going to be on E2 all day talking about basketball. So we appreciate you coming in early. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at some of the surprisingly great plays brought to you by State Farm from this week in college basketball. Let's get it kicked off with the best unnecessary but totally necessary finish. Let's take a look here what we've got from Bryce Williams of Oklahoma State. I think we're going to pull this up. Love the title on it. Look at this. Coming in, up. Game's over, but it is not over.
Yo, he needed to do that. They'd lost a lot of close games recently, and they were beating Kansas. They almost lost that game. They were up double digits. They were falling apart at the end. They made some big shots, and what better way to go out than that?
Dalen, you a big dunker? Like, what's your like? We've been talking about the dunk capability here.
I will tell you this: I dunked on multiple times in high school, never in a college game. But in high school, I did call my shot. We were playing Gulf High School in Florida. They were terrible. I was a sophomore. I was about 15 years old, and before the game, I said, "I'm gonna dunk in this game." Literally, the majority of the team laughed at me. I got a steal. We were up by 10, two-handed, popped it down. My coach actually looked at me like, "What the hell was that?" Just completely confused because I hadn't done it before. But I called my shot, threw it down.
I respect that so much.
You love to see it. Okay, let's go to best buzzer beater. This is Storm Murphy, who obviously has the best name in college basketball.
That's debatable, but go ahead.
He hits the step back three for the dub. I mean, pretty solid.
Yo, bear in mind, this guy was on the Wofford team 2 years ago that beat Seton Hall, that almost beat Kentucky in the tournament. Beyond the sweet name, that dude can flat out play and shoot it. His team is good. Not as good as in years past, but, man, he's one of the best shooters in the country.
Well, you mentioned debatable, and, because we are always prepared here, we have Dalen's all-name team, right? This is your all-name. Wow, Fats Russell,
I mean, the best one, honestly, is Remy Martin. I'm sorry.
No, exactly. A couple of years ago, we were doing one of the Arizona State games. My brother's watching. He said, "Remy Martin, is that guy really his name? Is that legit?" I said, "Yeah, that's his name. That's his name." Cognac, the dude is nice, can hoop without a doubt. Fats Russell, said he should be a jazz player or just dropping buckets and running shows like he does at Rhode Island. And Boo Buie for Northwestern. Dude can hoop too, man. He's a Northwestern team that people didn't expect much from. He's one of really good guards on that squad, fun to watch, and of course, sweet name.
All right. Let's go to Throwdown of the Week. We talked about dunks earlier. This is basically a dunk. Charleston Southern guard Jaquavion Florence unleashes this dunk.
Oh.
I feel like I have to talk like that because this is just so intense, right? Like, I mean,
violent.
Like, and again, I got tiny child hands, so like I don't even know what it feels like to be able to hold.
Fitz,
a
I'm not gonna lie to you,
basketball.
man. I know you had Fonz on earlier, and Fonz. I don't know if you guys could tell in this COVID world, nobody in sports media is nicer, but secondly, smells better than LaPhonso Ellis. He has this aura of it's just O to Zo. It's unbelievable. But my man could throw it down. Fitz, it's a pretty good feeling. I would like to say, get an 8-foot rim. Don't let anybody be around.
He said he
Just
can't
throw it
he can't even
But
grab
even
the ball.
Okay, 7 foot. Give me 7 foot. Take your 2 tiny hands, wrap it around the ball, and throw the thing down, man. You feel great. It's exuberance. I can't explain it.
So to be clear, we're telling America right now that if I posted a video on a 7-foot rim of me using a kid's basketball, because I'd have to, dunking, you would not mock me. You would instead be proud for the feeling that I got?
I would say let's work on the camera trickery. Get a little low angle. Maybe you can't tell it's very low. Have no depth perception behind it. And again, get a real basketball. 2 hands with a regular side ball. You should be able to throw down in 7 feet. If you can't do that, then I'm sorry, man. You have a lot of gifts, but it's not going down for you.
That would be actually ridiculous if you can, honestly.
Yeah, well, I don't want to talk about it anymore. What we do want to talk about is best first impressions. Let's keep the superlatives going here. And when you talk about first impressions, Sharif Cooper,
oh my God,
Auburn, I mean, season debut a week ago Saturday, and Dalen, heck of a week.
It was great. We were in studio for that Auburn-Alabama game, watching it live, and it was fun the anticipation to see him. He's the 20th ranked recruit coming in. You're wondering, is he going to be able to do it on the college level? And God, was he ever. He was outstanding in the first game until it got late. Late game, it showed it as a freshman. He's trying to figure it out. But in that second game against Georgia, he was even better. He's got over 50 points, I think 26 assists. Nobody in the history of college basketball in the first 2 games has done that against major college opponents. That's credit to some researchers. I didn't know that on my own. That dude can flat out hoop. Can't wait to see him today as they continue to try to build forward. They play Kentucky. I think that's 2 o'clock on ESPN. Kentucky's guards, they're going to have their hands full.
I love that plug, too. He's just got that Kentucky, 2 o'clock ESPN.
Slide right in there. That's a host thing, too. You got to do both. You got to do both.
So Sharif Cooper and eye turner. Let's talk about the biggest eye turner. Number 7, Michigan had a blowout win over number 9, Wisconsin. But here's the thing. At one point, they were up 62 to 26.
Christine, they went on a 33-6 run. That was unbelievable against Wisconsin. And let's not mess around. That team is old. Like Wisconsin's veterans. They got like dudes that have AARP cards. They're like 24 years old. Like that doesn't happen in college basketball. And they absolutely manhandled them on both ends of the floor. Michigan's legit. I think it's Gonzaga and Baylor are the 2 best teams, but Michigan has worked their way into that tier. And they can do it on both ends. They guard the heck out of you. Before they blew out Wisconsin, they beat Minnesota by 25, who they play today. On ESPN2 at 2 o'clock Eastern. We'll see if they can do that again. But they've just been thrashing highly ranked teams. They are legit, no doubt about it.
Stick there for a second, Dalen. So was that win more of a statement about Michigan or more of a statement about problems with Wisconsin?
No, it was Michigan. I mean, Wisconsin's still a good team. There's nothing wrong with them. Michigan just literally overwhelmed them. I haven't seen Wisconsin play that bad, but that's credit to how Michigan defends. They've got length. They've got athletes. They can get in you. And when they get the ball offensively, they're really efficient in the half court. They're outstanding in transition. They've got guys that know what they're good at, and they play to their strengths consistently. And they are going to be they're 7th ranked now? I don't know how they're not 3rd in the nation. It's probably because of other results before in the year. Where teams are playing right now, it's Gonzaga, Baylor, Michigan.
All right, so you and I and Christine have all worked a lot in the college football space, so let's have a little fun with that as we now look at what football team? Because let's be real, so far, I know it's early in the season, Alabama, 10-3, 5-0 in conference. Clemson, 9-1, 3-1 in conference. They're off to historic starts, my friend.
They absolutely are. Let's start with Alabama. They're fun to watch, though. I mean, they get up and down. Nate Oates' teams, they try to shoot about 100 threes a game, and if they don't get threes, they're going to the basket, and they got guys that can finish on you. Hopefully Herb Jones gets back healthy soon. They did lose Jordan Bruner, who is a grad transfer from Yale, big ups to the Ivy League, who's been actually really, really good on that team. But he's been out now. He'll be out now for a month. But they've been fun to watch. And Clemson a little differently. They just flat out guard you. I mean, they got guys that'll get in you from 94 feet. They turn you over. Amir Sims, a versatile big that's worth watching if you're just trying to tune in to see who to pay attention to. But that team overall is really competitive, fun to watch. They play UVA today, 6 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. I feel like I've memorized the entire slate.
Wow, I'm actually very
staggering.
Boom. And that game is good. If you like baskets, don't watch that game. If you like defense, that game's got you on lock. There's no doubt about it. Both those teams will guard you, particularly Clemson. They're better defensively than UVA, and that is saying something. This year's UVA team, not historically as good defensively as they normally are, but they got some guys that can score, Kihei Clark, J.I. Huff, and others. So that game's going to be great at 6.
So Alabama and Clemson surprisingly great.
Mm-hmm.
2 teams that are surprisingly horrible, Duke and Kentucky.
And
did that hurt for you to say? That hurt a little bit, that Duke? Did it come out okay?
I just love Duke basketball. I love Coach K.
I've never heard of them. Are they good?
Kentucky,
well, not this year.
We talked about it at the top top of the show, Kentucky losing, Duke not doing awful right now. They're number 19. Kentucky's not even ranked. Like, what the heck is going on with these two blue bloods?
Well, this is the issue. Recruiting rankings don't mean anything. Some years you get Zion and RJ, and those are transcendent talents. This year it's not the case for either one of those teams. I'll start with Kentucky. A lot of young guys who are a little bit overhyped that don't quite understand how to play the game and aren't as talented as people would have hoped. Now, they'll be a decent SEC team in a conference that's not very good in the SEC, but that's a team that they're going to struggle just to make the tournament, guys. Duke, on the other hand, is a team that needs to find their identity. They only played a couple games non-conference. You mentioned earlier in the show, Christine, they took the break. Now they've come back. They're 3-1 in conference play, but their 3 wins are against the worst teams in the ACC. They went and played Virginia Tech, and Coach K said after the game, we weren't ready. The intensity level is different in college, and a lot of these younger guys just came out not ready to play in Blacksburg, and they don't have a lot of talent. Their upperclassmen, Matthew Hurt and Wendell Moore, upperclassmen, they're sophomores, have to carry the load a lot. Wendell Moore has been very subpar this year. Hurt's been outstanding, but defensively is where the identity has to be, and they just have not been good enough. They give way too many straight line drives, open threes, miscommunications. This is a team that needs to find a way to be consistent for 40 minutes. They don't have the talent we've seen particularly in the past. They don't have the commitment right now. They had to learn that intensity and urgency, and I'm not sure they're really going to get there. In terms of when you talk about Duke, you talk about winning championships. They're not going to compete for the ACC title or the NCAA title. That's why we're being hard on them, because it's about expectations.
All right, so expectations. We expect that eventually on this show I'll make things weird. The only thing better than me at that, the only person better, is Bill Walton. Check this little nugget out. Greatness from Bill.
Survive another test from Riverside, California. This one from the Highlanders.
Riverside, close, but as we've learned through history, that close is only important in war and in sex.
Dalen, comment?
Truer words have never been said, my friend. Bill Walton is a philosopher. Beyond that little nugget, if you ever watch his games, like he's bringing up stuff like the Danube River and talking about the longest river, the distance to Jupiter. I mean, you learn about all types of random stuff. Not so much about the X's and O's of basketball, but everything else when you listen to Walton talk.
Oh my goodness. I purposely didn't listen to that before because I was like, I just want to hear what it is like live, and that is just...
Sometimes you read things and you're like, wait, when we hear it, it'll be, no, it wasn't. It was every bit as jarring as we would expect. Dalen, you've got a big day. Everybody can check you out all day on ESPN2 with the Raps team. We appreciate you giving us the time early this morning. Thanks for coming in, my friend.
Pleasure, guys. Anytime.
All right, Christine, as Dalen was just mentioning, he really did our job for us. Yeah. Countdown to game day. This is Christine Williamson. I'm Jason Fitz. Let's pull up the Saturday slate here. You guys can see the games that are coming. I don't know that I can promo it any better than what we just saw. There are a lot of games here that are worth note. One significant quick nugget, Gonzaga taking on St. Mary's. Let's just acknowledge the fact that they only have 10 in the last 10 seasons, 15 losses in conference play, but 6 of those have come against St. Mary's. So maybe there's an upset room. But one game to keep an eye on, Ohio State, Illinois. Illinois ranked number 14. They have 4 losses, but Christine, 3 of those losses have come by 3 points. So our Ken Pom ratings show that they're one of the least lucky teams in all of college basketball.
That should be a pretty good game. I think I'm most excited about Baylor versus Tech because Tech obviously had that win over number 4 Texas, and I feel like the Big 12 is really good at basketball. When I said that out loud, I was like, shut up, Christine. But anyways, it's a good game in Big 12 and in college basketball as a whole.
You know what? If you watched us work together on Countdown to Game Day, the college football edition, you learned that the only thing bigger than our Big 12 fandom is their fandom for Clemson or Miami, depending on the week. You didn't even mention, we got 18 Virginia and number 12 Clemson. Be a really good one. I know Dalen previewed it, but, this is a game that has a lot of significance. Virginia, known for their defense year in and year out. This year, as Dalen mentioned, not quite defensively as good, but offensively a much better team than they have been in the last few years. One of the knocks on Virginia is they got to play great defense because they can't score. That's not the case with this year's team. They are able to get after it. So this is going to be all about defense because Clemson is winning. As much as we laugh in college basketball and the NBA about the lack of defense everywhere, that is not the case when it comes to this particular matchup. So I'm looking at Clemson and Virginia saying, hey, we're going to get a statement about defense from both of these teams, but Clemson's going to have to show up because Virginia, contrary to what we're used to, can actually score.
I think the thing that's most interesting about this game is this is the 131st meeting between them, but this is only the 6th time that both teams have been ranked. So, this is going to be a good game. It's going to be a good ACC game. Obviously, ACC basketball pretty good, and so I'm excited to see that one.
Well, and I know we've given Michigan a lot of love. I think you're going to have to get used to that over the course of this season because this Michigan basketball team is spectacular. They've got the game at 2 p.m. Eastern against Minnesota, number 23. Michigan seeking to become the first team in the poll era to win 4 consecutive regular season games against ranked opponents, all by 15 points. That's important because what we're seeing at the top, whether it's from Gonzaga, Baylor, Michigan, we're not just seeing wins, we're seeing blowouts.
I mean, I think the thing that's interesting is both Dalen and Fawn said that Michigan is technically number 3. So I feel like if they blow out Minnesota in the game today, obviously Minnesota is ranked, it'll be super interesting to see the rest of their season.
We will be here hanging out with you every single Saturday from 10:30 to 11 a.m. Eastern, bringing in the best guests that we can ever get you so that you can get caught up on everything you need to know from college basketball over the course of the week and college basketball today. Thank you so much for hanging out with Countdown to Game Day, covered by State Farm. Switch over to ESPN now to hang out with Fonz, Reese, Seth, and Jay as they get you ready for all the college hoop action today. She's Christine Williamson.
Hey.
I'm Jason Fitz. Thanks so much for giving us your time.